Hey guys, wanted to do a video of some films I watched during the past 2 days. The first is a franchise that I was really excited for when Synapse said they were going to release the whole uh, collection, and they've been teasing they were going to release it since like '07, '08, and every year I've been kind of hyped for it, but it never seemed to come out, but it finally did. And that's the Violent Shit collection. They said they were going to release this on Blu-ray when they first announced it, but they decided to just release it on DVD, and it obviously makes sense that they wouldn't release it on Blu-ray because they're shot on video, actually really terrible quality, and I'll get more to that in a minute. But I was pretty excited for this. I had been heard about them obviously a lot growing up a horror fan. I gotta say the reputation of them is kind of better than the actual movies themselves. This thing, I'll start it off with the very first one. Violent Shit came out in '89. Uh, this has some charm to it because you realize it's just kids in Germany that, wanted to see quality gore effects, and, movies that were coming out there didn't have it because they were getting all chopped and censored and stuff. But yeah, it's not enjoyable though. I mean, you see the charm, you see the creativity and the art to it of them doing all the gore effects, but I do got to say that this it wasn't enjoyable to watch. It dragged. It was uh, I don't mind amateurish stuff. I don't mind really low budget stuff, but for I don't know, just the hype. I was kind of hyped up on it, I guess, of all the years waiting for it, but it was just boring. I mean, there was some cool gore shots. There's no story whatsoever. Basically, this kid kills his mother. You find out later in the movie that the devil was telling him to or possessed him. It's not really cemented exactly what happened there, but I gathered it as, he just saw the devil and the devil told him to do it. And he ends up escaping the prison transport vehicle and just ends up living in the woods, killing everybody that goes into the woods in brutal fashion. And that's basically all it is. And from what the director said, or the producer actually, said that all this was short, violent gore scenes that they cobbled together into a feature and then ended up releasing it. So it was never meant to be a movie in the first place. It was just little short things. And from what I understand, a buddy of theirs said, "Wow, all you guys are doing is filming violent shit." So that's where the name came in. But yeah, I mean that's kind of where for the franchise as a whole, it's where Carl the Butcher or Kay the Butcher Shitter is introduced, and he doesn't have his mask in the first one, so it's kind of like a Friday the 13th Part 2 thing, where you just know him as having the metal mask, but he doesn't wear it at all in the first film. But I will say, at the very end of the first film, I really like it because Kay the Butcher Shitter or Carl the Butcher just ends up ripping him. He lays down and just starts ripping himself apart, and then like some kind of demon baby like gives comes out of his chest and stuff. But it's real grainy, real video like footage, so it adds to the eeriness of it. But that's the only thing that really I had going for the first one. But I went on to the second one because I did hear the films in the franchise did get better. And the second one, Violent Shit 2, Mother Hold My Hand, is it was a little better, not much, but a little better. You're more into goes more into the past of it with the mom telling him what to do. And he does the metal mask is introduced in this one, and he just goes in the woods and kills them all again, except there's the mother sitting there telling him what to do, and he'll be grabbing a victim's boobs or whatever, and then the mother will be like, "Oh, they're fur. Why don't you come feel mine?" And then all of a sudden he's making love to the mother, and it's weird. Like the second one's really bizarre. It was a little better than the first one, but not by much. Barely had a story, but still kind of had one. So, I mean, quickly moving on to the third one, Violent Shit Part 3, Infantry of Doom. I kind of did enjoy that one. It definitely had a story, a really weird story. Like these people arrive on this island, and it's run by by like a gang or a tribe of these butchers, and they all wear metal masks. And there's a surgeon on the island that looks just like Hitler who's doing all these crazy experiments. And there's a Carl the Butcher Senior who's like a cyborg type thing, and then there's these ninjas, and the third one is just batshit crazy. They should have just named it that, just batshit at that point, because it's just craziness. It's the funnest of them all. And one thing I do got to say about these movies is there's not one that's over an hour and 18 minutes. So they're short, but they don't fly by. They do kind of drag. But the third one was good. I did like it. And then the fourth one, Violent Shit 4, Carl the Butcher vs. Axe. Um, Oddly enough, after the third one was pretty decent, I thought the fourth one was going to be terrible just because it came out over 10 years after the third one. And it's not only Andreas Schnoz doing it now, it's another dude doing it too. And I knew it was going to be not my style right when you see a pumpkin in the opening credits and a Halloween ripoff type music with Mustafa Akkad Presents. And then all of a sudden it just says, just kidding, wrong. It was, this one seemed more low budget to me than all the other ones. It did have the most nudity out of all of them, but there was these gangs in it, and took place in the year like 2023 in the future, but you could tell it wasn't the future, and it was just the fourth one I actually hated. I couldn't stand that one. I'd watch the first one again before I watched Violent Shit 4.0. But yeah, so I checked those four out, and overall highly disappointed. Uh, Third one would probably be the only one I'd ever watch again, to be honest with you. But I'm sure I'll watch them again down the road, or if somebody came over and was talking about them, I'd pop them in. But I'm sure they'd go out pretty quick too, because I couldn't imagine a non-horror fan actually sitting down to watch this. But yeah, that's all I got to say about this right now. But it's still cool to have in the collection just for years and years of waiting for it. And from what I understand, the original Violent Shit collection, I don't know if it was a Region A release or what, but it goes for crazy money. So it's cool to have a whole collection of it for 20 bucks. I mean, you can buy it cheaper now on Amazon. I think it was 12 bucks on there last time I checked, but I got it for 20, and I don't feel ripped off. I mean, it's from Synapse. It's cool. But Violent Shit, the 5-film shitition, because it comes with a bonus disc of a movie they made between Violent Shit 1 and 2 called Zombie 90 Extreme Pestilence. And I actually didn't watch it yet because I just wanted to watch the Violent Shit franchise right now. And after watching them all, I just couldn't handle any more German do-it-yourself, shot on video horror right now, at least. But yeah, so that's all I gotta say about this release. Still cool, but and then I guess then there's Violent Shit the movie, which came out in 2015, and this was by Real Gore Releasing, which is a label that the director Andreas Schnoz created. And this is basically kind of like a reboot of the franchise, because this kind of tells the story of the first two. But it takes place in Rome and has a really big giallo feel. Has a lot of Italian actors and actresses. The actor, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was in Cannibal Ferox, and it has Luigi Cozzi, that's who it was. It has a cameo in this as one of the detectives. It has a soundtrack by Goblin, who did a lot of Dario Argento's films. And this movie is actually my favorite out of the whole franchise, and I've heard a lot of people say that they don't like this movie. And I actually looked on IMDb, and I think this was the lowest rated out of all of them in the franchise, which I don't understand that at all. But I do gotta say, this actually did have kind of a story. The gore effects were obviously a lot better. A, because more money. B, all these years have passed, and Andreas Schnoz and all them they get better, obviously, as the years go by. but and B, this is on Blu-ray and it's not shot on video, so it does have a good picture, good cinematic quality. The mask looks better. The everything about this is better. I like the way the devil was kind of interpreted in this movie. The gore effects at the end are amazing. It has the crotch mutilation scenes that are in every single violent shit movie before this. So it has that. I mean, in this release, this is an awesome, awesome release. Definitely surpasses the movie. But it's a limited edition Blu-ray to 3000. Comes with booklet, soundtrack CD, uh, a trading card. Because this Real Gore releasing has like trading cards of just naked women that are in their movies, which is kind of cool. But comes in there, limited edition special features. This was number 594 out of 3000. And from what I understand, you can still get these. So I'm not actually. I don't know what the deal is with that. I would have thought for sure in the 2 years this has been out, the 3,000 copies will be gone. But I guess I'm wrong. I guess it's not as popular as I had thought it was. But if you could still grab this, which I'm sure you can do, I mean, do it. I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, this is such a beautiful release. Yeah, I actually can't recommend this one high enough. Favorite one out of all of them. And if you're gonna see any violent shit movie, I say see this one. I'd bypass that whole Synapse collection if I had to choose between this or that one. So yeah, do with this what you would. I definitely recommend it. Now, this trio of movies I had been really excited for. Takashi Miike is top three favorite directors of all time, if not the top director. I'd actually have to sit down and really think about that, but he's definitely top three. And that was the Arrow release of the Black Society trilogy on Blu-ray. And the only one I had seen out of these three is the Shinjuku Triad Society. And I had heard stuff about Rainy Dog and heard stuff about Lee Lines, but just never caught them. But from what I understand, Shinjuku Triad Society was the movie that put Takashi Miike on the map in Japan, or yeah, in Japan, because he had mostly been working on direct-to-video what was that called, V Cinema in Japan, releasing stuff, like The Dead or Alive and all that. But this, I guess, was his first theatrical movie, but I've heard people say that this is his second theatrical movie, so I'm not too sure about that. But this is he got his start with Yakuza movies and all that, which I really like. Besides horror, my second favorite kind of films are crime films, mafia films, and I like Yakuza movies a lot. But the first one, it does, you see a lot of Takashi Miike's what's the word I'm looking for? You see a lot of his trademarks, splatter gore, really sexual type humor. There's like a really homo kind of stuff in it, but yeah, basically the first movie, Shinjuku Triad Society, there's a younger brother who's deep into the Yakuza, and he's a big person in it, and the older brother is a cop trying to take down the Yakuza, so you obviously see the turmoil between that, and you're basically just traveling with the brother, and then it flashes back and forth to the Yakuza, where you're just seeing all the inner workings of that. And I don't want to spend too much time on these. I just wanted to get a quick review out there of just my thoughts on it, because I will say it's my favorite out of the three of these movies. I like it a lot. There's the one gang member who I don't know, I'd say he's like 17 or something, but he's gay, but he's like a male prostitute, and he has a switchblade, and he does some damage with it. And it's just a really entertaining movie. Like the opening scene, you see a cop holding up the head of the corpse they're taking pictures of and examining, taking pictures with it, and it's just a really entertaining movie. And the second film in this trilogy is Rainy Dog, and it was my second favorite out of the three. There's a hitman for the Yakuza. He gets a surprise visit from a son he didn't know he had, this little mute kid that is just dropped off at his door, basically, and he just goes about his life, doing all these hits and stuff for the Yakuza, and they're trying to. And he's out. He was actually exiled from it. They told him to. He's not in it anymore, so he's just going about getting revenge, doing all that, and he meets this prostitute that he falls in love with, and they start doing family type stuff like that. But it's this is way more subdued than Shinjuku Triad Society. It's to me it's not as entertaining, but I do really enjoy it. It's more of a heart pulling story than the first one. It doesn't feel like a Takashi Miike film to me at all. I love the ending. It definitely the ending it had that feels moment in it. But yeah, I do like Rainy Dog. And then the third one, Lee Lines, I actually wasn't a huge fan of. This is more of just these three people. They're tired of where they're at, so they go to. I think it. See, it's confusing because I don't know if it's they started in Japan and they go to China, but I think it's they started in China and they want to go to Japan because they just can't. They don't like where they're staying at, and it follows the lives of them while they're over in Japan selling drugs and running prostitutes and all that. And it's more of a mix of Shinjuku Triad Society's like off the wall craziness mixed good with the like emotional story of Rainy Dog. But yeah, it's a good closer to the trilogy. It was my least favorite out of the three. But I mean, you can get this for $22, $20 on Amazon or wherever. The Blu-ray transfers to this don't look good, but that's the case usually with Asian movies, is the transfers look really bad because I think they have cheaper film stock and just they don't. There's grain and they're just not of the quality of the film just isn't as good. I mean, and I know there's a lot of stuff where they don't like a lot of directors or studios over there don't like sending their original negatives or their original film elements to America for obvious reasons. You don't want to get it damaged or traveling overseas and stuff. So they got to go with, subpar transfers. But I mean, I'm sure this is the best they've ever looked. And, Arrow released these and I don't know if we'll get I mean, I'm sure eventually down the road, years from now, we'll get a 4K release of them, on 4K Blu-ray and all that. But for now, these are acceptable. They do it justice. I'm totally satisfied with them. But yeah, video went a little longer than I wanted it to, but just wanted to do a quick thing on just the movies I did, quick reviews. So just something to get out there. All right, guys, peace.